So that truth has brought us up to this point. Let us see now how far it can go for. This is the glorious part of Savitri, the divine boon in all its plenty and happiness. What we call in Marathi or in Sanskrit literature, when the scripture is read, any religious scripture is read, at the end of it, there is a description of the fruit offered by the scripture. Phala Shruti. Phala Shruti. So this is the Phala Shruti of Savitri we are seeing now here. You see, the boon, the fruit, the reward, the prize, whatever you want to call it, of having gone through the entire scripture. See. We have done this thing, but let's go back to those two earlier sentences. Some shall be made glorious receptacles and vehicles to the eternal's luminous power. These are the high forerunners, the heads of time, the great deliverers of earthbound mind, the high transfigurers of human clay, the firstborn of a new supernal race. The incarnate dual power shall open God's door. Eternal supermind touch earthly time. The Superman shall wake in mortal man and manifest the hidden demigod or grow into the God light and God force, revealing the secret deity in the cave. There are many things which are unsaid in this description, and we can kind of only surmise what all that is really, what the point he is making here. But we have also some hint of what is being said here available in the prose writings of Sri Aurobindo. I have already sent you the notes about the life divine. He is speaking of the Gnostic being and the divine life, how it will happen and all those things. Those two chapters of the life divine, the last two chapters of the life divine, were written around 1940. After the accident, when Sri Aurobindo started working, the first thing which he had taken up was the revision of the life divine, 39-40. The press was after him to send manuscripts for publication, the Arya Publication House in Calcutta, and he had taken up the revision of the life divine. The life divine as it existed in the Arya, those two chapters, around 1921, last two chapters. He had picked up again those two and expanded them enormously. And we have practically a kind of a book based only on those two chapters, you see, of the possibilities of the life divine appearing upon earth and certain aspects of the life divine which he foresaw at that time. But after 1940, after writing those two chapters, Yoga Tapasya grew and grew and grew in greater intensity and greater depth and even in a kind of a greater precision. The general vision, the general intuition of things was there, but the details of how things are going to happen, they had to be occult yogically worked out. And it is that occult yogic work which was being done after the vision was enunciated in the life divine. So after life divine's revision, his main concentration was on Savitri. In fact, part 1 of Savitri, practically half of Savitri, is what he had concentrated on for the next 3 or 4 years till 1944, roughly, when the broad general draft of part 1 was ready, you see, completely, 1944 roughly, you see. Then later on, the other books started being written. So this particular book, the Book of the Everlasting Day, came much later, around 1948, if not a little later than that. And what we have here is the status report of what was happening at that time in Savitri. But in 1949, the mother had started the school and she had proposed to bring out the Bulletin of Physical Education in 1949, starting from February 1949. And obviously, she approached Sribendu to contribute articles for the bulletin. In those 2 years, 1949, 1950, February, April, August, November 1949, 4 issues, and again February, April, August, November 1950, 4 issues. In those 8 articles, he had taken up something which he had not, so to say, revealed or written down explicitly in great details at all. So I will say that those prose writings also come more or less after what we have here in Savitri, in the Book of Everlasting Day. So certain details which are not kind of available here can be gleaned from those prose writings of Sri Aurobindo. Those 4 writings, those 8 essays, they have come out in the form of the supramental manifestation, Sri Aurobindo's 8 essays, you see. There, he speaks of the intermediate race. Of course, he speaks of the physical transformation and the divine body, but he speaks of the intermediate race. The intermediate race governed by the mind of light. Intermediate race governed by the mind of light. Now, this intermediate race, he had never spoken of it earlier, nor do we have all those details which really belong to the mind of light. Mind of light is, of course, a part of the supermind, but not full supermind. It is the supermind in the physical. And what Sri Aurobindo calls the mind of light is, the mother has kind of explained by saying that it is the physical's mind which is opening to the supramental light and force. It is not a physical mind, but the physical's mind, the mind of the body, mind of the physical, opening to the supramental light and force is what he calls as a mind of light. Now, so what we have here is the prognostications which are made, the vision which was given in the life divine about the new race, supramental race, the Gnostic being, had to be worked out in its working details. And one of the first working details was to create, I will say really, to create this mind of light. And the race governed by this mind of light is what he calls as the intermediate race. He uses the phrase there, the new humanity. The new humanity governed by the mind of light. The mother translates this in French by calling it Surhomme, overman, Surhomme. When this Surhomme is first fully established in its working modalities, in the process of evolution, then there could be the beginning of the true Gnostic being, the true Superman, the supramental being. So, what we have here, some shall be made glories, receptacles, and vehicles to the eternal luminous power. These are the high forerunners, the heads of time, the great deliverers of earthbound mind, the high transfigurers of human clay, the firstborn of a new supernal race. So this is the description of the intermediate race. That is how I will read it, basically. This is the description of the intermediate race. High forerunners, deliverers of the earthbound mind, transfigurers of human clay, firstborn of a new supernal race. Now when this race, this new supernal race, when these firstborn have fully established themselves, grown here fully, then the true Superman shall appear. These are the high forerunners, the heads of time. See, he says heads of time. You see, they are still in the process of human time, evolution. The great deliverers of earthbound mind, the high transfigurers of human clay. Transfigurers. Still, he's not talking about transformation, of physical transformation, which comes much later. The firstborn of a new supernal race. So what we can say is that this is the description until now, up to this point, of what he has been talking, of the intermediate race.